Hello and welcome to Faceless Guy. Geography now, Vietnam. My reaction to the country I visited in Asia, the only country I ever visited in Asia. I visited it in 2019 and 2022 to visit my girlfriend. Now she's my ex-girlfriend, sadly, but I will talk a little bit more about this in the video. Welcome to this video. Shuk Myung. I hope this means welcome. And I will also say few more things in Vietnamese. Welcome. So here we are back. I will react to 3 videos in this video. Once Vietnam Geography Go from Geography Now, all 3 videos. Then Geography Now Vietnam. 21 hours ago it was recorded and uploaded. Recorded probably a few days, weeks ago. And then I will react to the video Regions of Vietnam Explained. I'm very curious about this. I accelerated for this. I have not taken a look in any of these videos. Also, one was uploaded 9 days ago, the other one 3 weeks ago, and the last one 21 hours ago. I have not watched any of these videos. I waited for this moment, so I can watch it together with you in a reaction. I hope you enjoy it. Shinta is of course with me here, and as always, I stand with Palestine, free Palestine from the Israeli occupation, and the apartheid right to return to the Palestinian refugees, both from 1948 and all years later. I absolutely okay, it's 60. I keep it at 60 just so you can adjust this the best way. I am stand absolutely 100,000,000% against the genocide which is taken on right now, which should be obvious for anyone who has a heart and a soul, but it isn't. And many people are not really aware about this, or they don't want to think about this, or they think, hey, it's just military, it's just a war going on between Hamas and Israel, it's not a genocide. It's far too strong of a word. I've spoke to people directly who think this, or similar things like this, and it's absolutely wrong. It is a genocide. You cannot describe it as anything else. And if Hamas is really so lunatic to put its members always directly in front of civilians, then you should not be the psychopathic asshole to shoot the civilians anyway, just to kill the Hamas members. So, and I don't think it is the case. I don't think that Hamas is this kind of psychopathic organization. But even if you think this, then you should still be against killing civilians in this in any way, of course, but definitely in this way, and also against starvation, against all of this, against hindering the delivering of humanitarian aid. So there are many ways in which you can be absolutely against an apparent. I can still also adjust it to 50. There was no audio in the video, just my microphone. There's no way you can in any way, shape or form justify what Israel is doing right now, and still be any kind of left or central human being. You are just right wing, and you don't care about Palestinian life. So think about this. Watch some videos about this. Get informed yourself. You can even read some mainstream media and still be apparent of what is happening, like the bombing of the aid truck from Central World Kitchen, also World Central Kitchen, which took place a few days ago, and there were 8 workers, 3 from Britain, from Poland, 1 dual nationality, 8 workers from Canada and the US, Australia. So many people were murdered, and they were deliberately targeted by, I think, a local branch of the IDF, but maybe also from the command to kill them came from above the command line, more central planned, but it was a targeted assassination because they were hit 3 times at 3 different locations over a period of a few minutes and 2 kilometers. The drone was following them, and if the central IDF command center can't hold under control the units it controls in Gaza, then how about they just leave Gaza? I am in favor. I think it would be the best solution to have a UN Blue Helm UN mission in Israel to separate the IDF and Hamas from each other, and establish a buffer zone between the West Bank and Israel, and Gaza and Israel, so no one can get hurt, and also of course ban all of the IDF activities in the West Bank and in Gaza, and have UN forces from not from the US, not from any European country, but from other countries which were also subjected to colonialism in maybe in Africa or in Asia. Some troops, Blue Helm troops, to guarantee that no one gets hurt in Israel or the Palestinian territories. I think it would be the best solution, at least for now. Of course, there must be also a political solution, which will take time, but you could just, like on Cyprus or on Korea, separate the groups from each other, which are in conflict, and especially hold Israel back so they don't commit war crimes or genocide against the Palestinian people. Anyway, I mean, this video is not even about Israel and Palestine. I'm just always triggered by this. I watch this every day. I read the news. I read a report from the UN Human Rights Council, I think, and it was so apparent. I am German, and I feel so ashamed of what my country is doing. It's disgusting. It's pathetic how we unconditionally support Israel without ever thinking about what the fuck we are doing. We say never again, like something like a genocide, but we don't care if it is done to people, if our allies, the Israeli state is doing it. Then we don't care if human rights violations, torture, murder, genocide. We only care about this if it is done to our allies, but not if our allies do it themselves. Anyway, 10 minutes intro even before the real video starts, about something the rest of the video will not be about in the slightest way, but it is on my mind all the time, every day, since half a year. And also before, but since half a year it is much more disgusting and terrible. Anyway, for all of those who don't really care so much about politics, welcome. I will have chapters in this video because it will be far too long if I don't. I mean, I will react to three videos, so each of these videos will, when it starts, or of course have its own chapter, so people can just skip to this video and don't have to listen to my talking all the way around it. But I have to say a lot about this. I have to say a lot about Vietnam. In a certain way, I like Vietnam. In other ways, I don't like Vietnam. And I was there myself. I was there. I was in the south of Vietnam. Maybe I will also visit the north one day. I want to. In this way, I like Vietnam. That I definitely want to visit it again. And I had a girlfriend from there. In fact, I even had 2 girlfriends, even if the second one doesn't really count because it was just 9 days. But my first girlfriend and my more or less only girlfriend, but then I had 4 other girls I called my girlfriend, even if they were just much shorter, my girlfriend. One of them a little bit longer, 9 months, but yeah. My relationships. Oh my god. The first one, my true one, long-lasting relationship, was with a Vietnamese woman from the south. We were together for nearly 4 years, and we even intended to marry here in Germany, but it didn't work. So, no details necessary, but yeah, it didn't work. Okay, that being said, we will, I think, start in a moment with the first video. Vietnam Geography Go. Yes, I think I will start with I will follow this order you see on the screen. First, maybe my camera was big until now. I know you see it. Vietnam Geography Now, Geography Now Vietnam, regions of Vietnam explained. 17 minutes, 34 minutes, and 16 minutes. I'm curious about this. I only was in this house. I visited 2 cities in more detail. And I arrived in Ho Chi Minh City. So, and yeah. Tôi đã học tiếng Việt. I studied Vietnamese. I am studying Vietnamese. Tôi đang học tiếng Việt. Okay, that being said, this means I đang học studying, and tiếng Việt Vietnamese. I am studying Vietnamese. Okay, I'm a little bit I mean, it's about his travel to Vietnam, and I'm curious where I will say something about the trip, about my trip maybe even. So let's just jump into it. Vietnam Geography Now. Geography Go Vietnam. 9 days ago. This video will probably be public, then I'm not sure what on the 6th or 5th, I'm not sure. I want to give him a little bit time ahead for the latest video, Geography Now Vietnam's episode, to get as I mean, not many people will probably watch my reaction first before they watch the original video, but still give him a few days. So yeah, probably not many people will watch my video at all. But let's start. Vietnam Geography Now, Geography Go. 1, 2, 3.
So every time I go to Asia, I kind of secretly judge them based off of their food, because I want to find ways to point out how they are definitely not as good as Korean. Damn it, Vietnam.
I mean, I heard some of the good stuff of food in Vietnam. I'm not such a big enjoyer of food, different types of food, so I'm very happy always with the basics, and no special tastes, no special flavor. But I heard that the banh mi is very special in Vietnam. It's like a sandwich bread. I've eaten something like a fast food version, not a fast, cheap version of it. Just we bought it in the store, and I ate it with something I brought from home. But yeah, I'm not such a big enjoyer of food, so probably I can't really say much about this.
So this is going to be one of my research trips. Of course I'm going to have a little fun, but we'll get to that in a bit. Now, Asia is a very complicated place, but you have 2 major spheres of influence. You have the Indosphere, or places that fall under the influence of India, or at the very least the Indian subcontinent, and you have the Sinosphere, or places that fall under...
Okay, you hear me. Vietnam seems to be under the Sinosphere, even if all of the rest of southern India, southern Asia, is more in the Indosphere. But there's also something a little bit red down here in Singapore, in Malaysia. So that's interesting. I'm curious about this. Let's find out more.
China's influence. And Southeast Asia is kind of like where these two spheres of influence collide. And although this country is way more noticeably Sinosphere, they've always kind of been like the weird, humid, tropical outlier that didn't quite exactly fit in with the rest of the Sinosphere world. It's a place where folk beliefs are pretty strong and they somehow find a way to creep their way into every part of daily life. It's a place where every dish has fish sauce and a slight tangy flavor where everything tastes just right. It's a place where motorcycles and coffee.
Yes, that's my experience as well. I was happy, very happy that I had the local with me and my girlfriend at the time, who guided me safely through the traffic. Because yeah, motorcycles are very. It is as when I was in Dalat. It's a small city in the highlands of southern Vietnam, I think, and there was very much traffic, and then I think you just have to slowly but continuously walk over the street when you want to cross the street. You have to keep eye contact with the people, like motorcycles drivers, and also cars sometimes, but mostly motorcycles, to keep yourself safe. And you just have to, you as I understand this, you have just to continuously go and never stop on the street. Just go, and they will drive around you. It sounds weird, and it definitely feels weird at first. But it functions somehow, and it's very safe as far as I have seen.
Our king, and I don't have to explain it to you guys. You already know where I am. It's Iceland. I am here in Ho Chi Minh City, aka Saigon. Yes, it's totally acceptable to call this place Saigon, the old name. Off record, it's unofficially acceptable to call this place the Bitexco building, the Avengers building, because look at it, it's the Avengers building. And yes, I know there's a lot more to Vietnam than just Saigon. There's the north, there's the central, there's the Mekong Delta. I know. But my time is very limited. I'm kind of on a time crunch. I only have 5 full days to learn as much as I can, and a lot of my
I was in Vietnam for 1 month. Twice, 2 visits, each time 2 weeks. So yeah, I was, I guess, in Vietnam 4 times longer than he has been, and much earlier. I'm a little bit proud of this. Because he travels to many places, and I mean, it's one of the last countries in the he had to do alphabetically in the English language, so I had an advantage.
Subscriber said if you're gonna start in Vietnam, this might be a good place to start. So here I am, with mom. And of course the first thing I'm gonna do, get coconut coffee. Or should I get salt coffee? Or should I get egg coffee? Oh, they're all so good. Here you go. Thank you. Oh. So fun fact, every coffee comes with these little plastic slings. That's because they assume you might be riding a motorbike. And if you do, every motorbike comes with a little hook that you can hang your stuff on. Ingenuity. So one thing you'll definitely notice in Vietnam, all of the curbs slope upwards into the sidewalk. And that's because they expect motorbikes to use the sidewalks, so they give them easy access. So sidewalks are pretty much just an extension for pedestrians and motorbikes. So yeah.
There are motorbikes everywhere. And I've also seen some of the shrines, but yeah, motorbikes absolutely everywhere. They love motorbikes, just like my ex-girlfriend, and I also enjoyed it very much to travel with her. I'm sitting behind her on the motorbike and riding it. Anyway, but yeah, let's continue.
New York cheese chicken with a tiger drinking beer. So I put up a post on social media asking if any of my subscribers living here would like to meet up, and with that I grabbed my street stool, parked up a spot on the sidewalk, and got ready to sit down with my second coffee and chat with my first subscribers, Brad and Bao. Creation myth of Vietnam. Explain, Bao.
Well, it's not too much of a myth, but they think that the Vietnamese people believe that they are descendants of people from the north in China that migrated south, and so they use this symbol to like symbolize their kind of origin.
And these are the people migrating or something?
Yeah, these are supposed to be representation of those people migrating. You can see that there's also
with elephants.
Yeah, war elephant to like represent like all the time that they fought back from the invading northern Chinese army. So
those are the Trung sisters.
yeah, that's the representation of the Trung sister, usually with two war elephants.
You grew up with this, right?
Yeah, I see this everywhere. Yeah, in textbooks, in propaganda, in movies, on official TV channels, on decoration like this.
This is Vietnam.
Yeah, I would say.
Modern Vietnam is a country that is moving forward as fast as it possibly can. So if I could boil down Vietnam to just one word, practical. Because, the history of Vietnam, there's been so many conflicts and problems, but they're always trying to find the best way forward in life. And, people are always willing to do what it takes for themselves and for their country.
It's like that.
With moving on, I can understand. I mean, they had a lot of trouble. They not just with the French, then with the even before with the Chinese, but then the Americans came and bombed the country into the Stone Age, destroyed so much and killed so many people, murdered so many people, an unnecessary war. And they also, I have to mention this here, bombed Laos and Cambodia into oblivion. So, yeah, Henry Kissinger is a war criminal, one of the war criminals, which is responsible for this. There are more, but he is the most famous one, I think.
From Ho Chi Minh, what was it?
Không có gì quý hơn độc lập và tự do.
Yeah, Brad learned how to speak Vietnamese, which is pretty cool. In any case, it was pretty evident that this was a very busy city made up of 24 districts and 19 main inner districts. So much to see, hear, smell, and yes, even taste. With that, I hopped on Brad's motorbike and he brought me to what is probably the most famous food stall alley in all of Saigon to get a taste of what I was getting into. All right, here with Mr. Henry and Brad. Once again, Brad, where are we?
We are at Choha Hotiki, which is one of the most famous food streets in Ho Chi Minh City, and there's a lot of great food here.
All I know is they got horseshoe crabs here. Look at this guy. I've only seen pictures of this water coconut or toddy palm, I believe, and I'm gonna try it for the first time.
I'm a little bit scared of seeing some weird animals or stuff like this, but I will try not to. I will try not to look too much in detail to it, what they eat or what I maybe see on the stalls. I have not seen anything too weird, I think, so far, but yeah. As I said, I'm not such a big food enjoyer, especially not this kind of very weird food, and in general also many food in Germany, so yeah.
Water coconut. Pretty good, I like it.
We're eating some bánh lọc xào.
Bánh lọc xào. And it's fat noodles with God knows what else in it. Let's go, 3, 2, 1. Oh, so good. It was at this moment that I realized both Brad and Henry spoke Japanese, so they ended up speaking Japanese to each other.
アカデミック的な言葉がちょっと難しそう。
難しいだね。
ねえ。
僕も日本で、勉強した時はそれは3ヶ月ぐらい。
I notice whenever I meet my subscribers, they usually tend to be very talented or smart, so at this point I just kind of have high standards for them.
はい。
When I would meet him, I mean, I also speak in these two languages, I mean, German and English. But I also learned many other languages like Arabic and Russian, and I'm learning right now a little bit Chinese. So I'm not sure if I mean I think it meets the smart expectations in other ways than speaking other languages fluently. I know a lot about history and geography, of course, also through him, but I also at least kind of speak a few other languages, but mostly just English and German. So I hope it wouldn't be too much of a disappointment in this category.
Today, Mom was going to tag along, and this was going to be a first for her. For her whole life, she has never stepped foot in either a Hindu or Buddhist temple. And there was a Hindu temple not far from where we were staying in District 1, so we decided to check it out. Although forms of Hinduism have historically existed, especially in the south part of Vietnam, for a long time, it was revived more recently by Indian laborers that were brought in by the French during colonial times. And it was cool witnessing it here in Vietnam. Afterwards, we decided to hop in a taxi and ride over to District 2 to see Minh Dang Quang Buddhist Institute.
Ready to go, Mom? You ready?
This place is stunning. It is a multi-leveled, multi-pagoda complex with a central temple and 4 massive corner tower pagodas that hold special quarters like a library and living quarters for the clergy. It lies just on the outskirts of the residential apartment complexes with very busy, fast-moving traffic, giving off a unique view of tradition juxtaposed to modernity.
All right, Brady is here, and we are at the top of the library tower. Look at the view.
I was in a Buddhist temple in a pagoda, but I was never in a Hindu temple. Maybe I will be there one day, either in India or maybe in Vietnam. Who knows? But yeah, it's very interesting, and I will. I hope you. I always was. You always heard me. Sometimes I turn off the microphone and mute it. I hope this didn't happen, but I try to keep it on now. At least for now.
You know what I find fascinating is that the Vietnamese language is written in the Latin alphabet, but they somehow figured out a way to Asian calligraphy it. It's pretty cool. And on special days, they offer free vegetarian dishes to the community that visits. So of course, why not? Hey, Mom.
All right, so Brad, what do you have here?
I have my motorbike.
And where are we going?
We are going to Bat Tin Ho Temple,
District 5.
District 5.
I really love to just sit behind my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend now, but she was my girlfriend, so, sit behind her and, travel with her, ride with her on the motorbike. It is amazing.
Bat Tin Ho Temple, one of the most popular ones, and let's just check it out.
Now this is where we start reaching the folk side of Vietnam's faith-based dynamics. Even before entering, you can see the distinct iconography carved into the exterior of the building. Bat Tin Ho Temple is one of the oldest temples in Saigon, built by the Cantonese community in 1760, dedicated to Mazu, the goddess of the sea, a faith that has roots in South China and Taiwan. The moment you step in, the level of intense detail and ritual is immediately flashed before your eyes. The shrines and figures and prayer cards, the pillars, the spiral-shaped incense coils hanging from the ceiling, and the massive clay pots holding incense sticks.
This is the most incense-filled place I've ever been in my life.
After that, it was back on Brad's motorbike to head off to one place I was very interested in seeing. I've read about this unique religion before. It is very distinctly Vietnamese, specifically South Vietnamese, Gao Dai. You want something authentically Vietnamese, you gotta check this out. A Gao Dai temple. It's a unique kind of fusion hybrid religion that was invented in the 1920s that fuses Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, and Roman Catholicism, and every single temple has the Eye of God, or the all-seeing eye. Finally, back on Brad's motorbike.
Interesting. I've never seen something like this. She was Buddhist, so, but still, it's interesting.
And off to a cathedral.
It's a war against scooters and cars.
Yes, Vietnam has a small community of Christians, mostly Catholic as well. I've seen many cathedrals, but this was the first time I had seen one with such an East Asian aesthetic, with temple-like elements in everything from the entrance gateway, the roof, the columns, the stained glass. Now, faith, or at the very least, spiritualism, has played a very interesting role in Vietnam.
I think it is also a state atheist country where atheism is supported or from the government. They want people to be more atheist than something else. I think. You can tell me, of course, if I'm wrong or where I am wrong, and tell me in the comments what you think about different parts of the video. I would like to hear your stories.
And it's really interesting when you see something like this. The statue of Mary with traditional incense and ancient calligraphy. Nowhere else can you find anything like this. Overall, there's a sort of overarching sense of faith, or at the very least, faith-based ritualism in many parts of Vietnam, and you see it everywhere.
Yep, just walk. Just force your way. Just do it.
As I said, just continue to walk. Don't stop walking, and people will adjust to you on the motorbike. I have seen it. They also want to go their business. They don't want an accident. They will drive around you. They're very coordinated. It functions. Even if you think it looks very weird, it functions.
Come on, no signs. All right, today we go to Vung Tau. Vung Tau today. Taking this little ferry bus or boat. So today is a boat trip. We're gonna take a ride from Ho Chi Minh, Saigon to Vung Tau. It's all the way down the river, and here's what the boat ride looks like. Now in Vung Tau, there was one specific thing I wanted to see. Actually, Brad discovered it, and I knew Mom would probably kind of hate it, but I wanted to see it. How do you feel? Do you like the monkeys?
No, hell no,
Okay. Yeah, just monkeys everywhere. Want a banana? Sure. Banana. Monkey. Well, that guy's mad at me. I'm gonna call him Godzilla. Come on, Godzilla. Show him how it's done. Be a monkey. This guy knows how to be a monkey. Vung Tau is the closest and most popular beach destination for people usually living in Saigon. They do recommend you be careful with swimming though, because the winds are known to be very strong, perfect for paragliding, but just be mindful and careful of the waves. And I will admit I was a little deterred from swimming in the ocean because I did notice quite a bit of plastic waste. I'm sorry, I know it sounds bad, but I have to just say it as it is based off of what I've observed. But otherwise, the city did have its charm. Like, seriously, charm. This is the weirdest ice cream truck I've ever seen. Check this out. It's a Pikachu mobile. There's like Lady Pikachu. There's like, and then there's like Pikachu making out with Raichu. We took a local bus all the way back to Saigon and decided to get some dinner. Let's cross. We made it. Halfway. All right, Mr. Brad, what do we got here?
We got some cam tam, which is the specialty in Saigon.
Just a mixture of everything: meat, rice, egg, fish sauce. Oh.
Afterwards,
But I've definitely also seen a lot of places where you eat outside directly next to the street. Many food stores. I walked through some of these streets where left and right there are always stands and people are selling something. So I have seen this as well. Yes.
I decided to check out Bui Vien Walking Street, the heart of Saigon's nightlife. This place is insane. So many neon lights, loud music blasting in your face, and street performers everywhere. But one of the most distinguishing traits is that the bars here serve nitrous oxide balloons, or laughing gas, which people inhale. Now, I researched these things, and you do have to be careful if you want to try them out. I did not, but yeah, I'm just saying I noticed they were here. I also noticed something else.
What would you? What can you say? Interesting. He wears a new helmet, so maybe he just rents a motorbike and gets a helmet with it. he wear red helmet before, and now a green one.
So my friends want to treat me to snails, and they're taking me to this place. It's actually inside a person's house. I don't even know if it's like a registered commercial property, but we're doing it. Just cooking outside, and then you step in, and oh, there's the friends. There they are. Yeah, let's have snails. Okay, so we have oysters with cheese on top, clams with peanuts, and spring onions. Oh, we're waiting for the snails. Okay, well, a lot of seafood, oh my goodness. Actually, now that I think of it, I don't think we ever got the snails. But anyway, afterwards I was able to meet up with Geography Peeps and Win and Hong, as well as Ryan. We went to an exclusive invite-only cafe where we were able to film some interviews for the episode, and it was a great experience meeting them. You'll get to meet them in the Vietnam episode. Otherwise, after that, it was time to great experience meeting them. You'll get to meet them in the Vietnam episode. Otherwise, after that, it was time to explore the city just a little bit more with Mom. As you know, my mom is an artist, so of course the last thing she wanted to see was the Ho Chi Minh City Museum of Fine Arts, which has an amazing collection of national treasures that depict every era of Vietnamese history.
I would like to visit something like this as well. It looks nice, the pictures I've seen so far in this video.
Wait, so Brad, what is this?
It's translated. Nước từ trường tình thế lục giác. Water from hexagonal crystal field.
Water from... It's magic water. I need magic water. I'm gonna get some. Give me that magic crystal water. I'm gonna drink some. I feel the Vietnamese power.
The final show, the fifth day.
It was the last day, and Mom wanted to go out to do some shopping at the famous Benten Market. And with the market comes a plethora of delicious exotic fruits.
Oh yeah, shopping. I was with my ex-girlfriend in one of these big marketplaces where she also tried to lower the price, bargain with the bargaining is, I think, something very important in Vietnamese culture, at least on this kind of street markets. Maybe not in the big stores, but in this street markets, it is definitely something many people in Vietnam do. I think my girlfriend did this, so I'm not sure if it is. I think it is more common. She said so. Yeah.
Really good.
Tell me, if you are from Vietnam, what is your experience with bargaining in this open street market? In this I talked about a night market in Dalat. Yeah, but yeah, tell me.
Not bad. So, in Southeast Asia, the fruit options are insane. And here's a really interesting one. This is breast milk fruit.
Wish to have a photo.
Yeah. It's not bad. Kind of has a little melony taste.
As the day was coming to a close, these past 5 days have been amazing, and it's crazy to think we only got to see one small section of Vietnam, the South. It's busy, it's hectic, it's chaotic, but it's like a colorful, beautiful, organized chaos that the city offers, with its very distinct sense of identity. With the last few bits of my money, there was one last thing I wanted Mom to experience before we left. I wanted her to see something that was just very Vietnamese.
So we're gonna do something pretty cool. What are we doing today, Ryan?
Water puppet.
Water puppet show. All right, let's check it out.
I've never heard of a water puppet show, but it sounds interesting. I mean, yeah, I have still 2 more videos to go through, but this one was probably more intense for me because I had to talk a little bit about my past. In the next videos, it will be maybe more scientific. I mean, about the geography, not so much about my past relationship.
Here, Mom, I got this for you. I got that for you.
What I'm gonna do is
Oh, we'll just we have a lot of decorations around the house. Why not?
When I look back at this whole trip, I think, you know what? For 5 days, I think I did pretty well. I love big cities, but I also love seeing what gives a city its character. And clearly, Ho Chi Minh City has character. It has tradition. It has a vibrant sense of identity and customs. It has flavors and tastes that never seem to end everywhere you go. It has its quirkiness and funny moments. But best of all, it has the people that I was really honored to meet. It was time to head back and take everything I've learned to put it in the episode. Until the next time, stay cool, stay tuned.
And this concludes also this part of the video, already 45 minutes long. If you include the 10-minute rate about politics at the beginning, I can't stop myself in this way. And here we are in the next video. I mean, it's still the same video, but it's the next part of the video, a new chapter. Welcome to kind of the intro number 2. In this part of the video, I will react to the Geography Now Vietnam episode. The big one, the main part of the video, kind of, before we conclude with the regions of Vietnam. I hope you enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed very much. This video was published 21 hours ago, so that's the reason why I will probably upload this video next day, tomorrow, or in 2 days. Also, it will take a long while to edit it and to work through it all. But let's just start with the video in a few seconds.
Okay, so I don't speak Vietnamese, but I went to Vietnam and I learned how to fake it. First off, drink some water.
I mean, the TMH is, I think, T, but then the T is pronounced as a T and not as a Ch. Often T is pronounced like a Ch, and the D is a little Okay, maybe I have a character. Should I show it to you right now on the screen? Maybe not. It's a D, and then there's a little extra line and this is pronounced like a D. The other D is pronounced like a Z. So when I was learning Vietnamese, and I'm still learning Vietnamese to a degree, I learned a little bit about its grammar, about its phonology, and about its syntax. But I'm very curious how he will explain how to talk Vietnamese.
No. I mean, you gotta drink that water hard. You gotta like gulp it. Okay, good. Now add some consonant sounds to that gulping. Now add some short stop vowels. Now just go crazy with the intonation and make your voice a little higher. And there you go. You're on your way to joining the Vietnamese parliament.
I mean, it sounded very good. Sounded Vietnamese. Yes, they have this little kind of stops near the end of the word. Always often when they kind of stop in the middle of the in the word, and then it's I think it's, how is it called? We have something similar when we say abgehackt in German, or in English I'm not sure where's something like this. It has a special name. It's deep in the throat where you make there's a little break where when no air is coming through the neck and the mouth, and yeah, I'm not sure how to call it scientifically in the moment. I'm sorry.
It's time to learn geography now. Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. Get your Geography Now merch at geographynow.com, like this beautiful mug that I just gulped from. But also, Mini Barbs! And you can take him on your travels too. Get a Mini Barbs at figgyme.com. He fits great in a Geography Now mug, and you can take both with you on a trip, and I'm putting this away. So before I start this episode, I just want to say a huge thank you to all the Vietnamese geography peeps that I met when I visited Vietnam. It was so cool hanging with you guys and really trying to understand your country through your eyes. And even though you're not Vietnamese, thank you Brad, my fellow American, for driving me around everywhere on your mini bike. He lives in Vietnam and he speaks it. He's a super talented guy. So we've reached our last Southeast Asian country. Vietnam is definitely a rabbit hole country where the story just gets crazier and crazier the more you dive into it. How long of a dive will we take? Well, follow me and I'll show you the way. Oof! By the way, Mom, how did you like Vietnam?
Interesting.
It was interesting, okay.
It's the first time she makes this, punch. And he makes this punch, joke. But interesting, yeah, the last Southeast Asian country, I think about this, yeah, I guess they have all of them. Vanuatu, they also did Vanuatu already, Vietnam is, VI after it, there will be just Venezuela, even Venezuela they already did. I have to react to Venezuela as well at some point.
So the shape of Vietnam's domain has a very unique structure, and as you'll soon see, there's a very advantageous yet catastrophic undertone to it.
It looks a little bit like a bone. I thought I think a while ago, and I still see it somehow. Big at the top, big at the corner, and very slim in the middle. Yeah, a little bit like a bone. And it's also, of course, similar to the shape of Italy a little bit, and long and thin also from Chile. Also, Chile is, I think, nowhere as right as Vietnam is in the north.
As well. But first, let's find it on the map, shall we? First of all, the country is located on the entire eastern portion of the Southeast Asian Peninsula, shaped like an S, bordered by China, Laos, and Cambodia, touching the South China Sea and the Gulf of Tonkin to the east and the Gulf of Thailand to the southwest. The country is divided into 58 provinces and 5 municipalities, which are the highest ranked cities in Vietnam, controlled directly by the central government. And
there is also this little exclave, or is it an island in the southwest? I tried to learn the provinces once, or the regions, the provinces, but I was terribly bad because, of course, none of them really make any sense for me. It's a different language, so it's much more difficult. Like in contrast to European languages, it's at least written in the Latin alphabet. I'm very happy about this, but yeah, it's still maybe even more difficult because it is written in the Latin alphabet, because it looks very similar, but then it's pronounced like completely different. But yeah, let's continue.
one of them is the capital of the entire country, Hanoi, right next to another municipality, Haiphong. These are the second and third largest cities in the country. The largest city, though, just a bit bigger than Hanoi, is actually Ho Chi Minh City, or Saigon, which also hosts the largest and busiest airport, as well as the largest and busiest shipping port, the Port of Saigon. The country has a wide network of roads, the longest one being the QL1 highway that goes about 1,650 kilometers from the border of China to the southernmost tip at Gaomao. Otherwise, if you prefer train travel, you're in luck. There are multiple lines, including the longest one, the Reunification Express, that takes about 34 hours to finish, traveling between Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh. Finally, the country has an insular region of islands, mostly off their coasts, about 4,000 islands to be exact. The largest one, and most interestingly placed, is Phu Quoc, just off the coast of Cambodia. It's kind of considered like the Hawaii of Vietnam. And then you get to the most controversial part, the Spratly Islands. We'll explain more about.
I heard out about this also from a girlfriend at the time, about the conflict between China and Vietnam, but technically also the conflict between Vietnam and the Philippines and Malaysia and Brunei, but mostly with China, because China claims, I think, most of them. But yeah, it's interesting.
about this later, but in a nutshell, all these countries claim at least part or most of it, and many of them have set up stations or even military bases on these islands. Out of all these islands, Vietnam has the most claimed at 29, including the actual island named Spratly. Side note! Yes, it is totally okay to call Ho Chi Minh City Saigon, the original name. Also, getting around in Vietnam, you'll have to understand motorbike culture. Vietnam usually ties Thailand as the #1 or #2 country with the highest percentage of motorbike users per capita.
I mean, I have seen it as well already in the last part of the video. You have seen it as well in this very same video. But yeah.
At over 86% using the vehicle for daily commutes. So back to the whole Spratly Islands dispute thing. We've mentioned this in a few other episodes before, but if you don't know anything about it,
yes, spread the islands. I think they should just somehow find a peaceful solution to this and don't. I think especially I mean. I think all of the countries are in a certain way a little bit aggressive, but yeah, they should just find a peaceful solution quickly and don't start a war about this, which I don't think anyone wants. So, except maybe the United States. I'm not sure about the United States often, but who knows.
basically, although they've been known to be inhabited throughout various times in history, it wasn't until recently when all the arguing got heated. Why? Because when you have an island in the ocean, it usually gets an exclusive economic zone attached to it, which in the world of geopolitical strategy can be a very advantageous prospect to have and have some kind of control over. Long story short, just be careful about talking about this place. I mean, in 2014, the Vietnamese military literally had to sign a document stating that they were ready to die as they assumed military action against China might have been possible. So anywho, as you can see, Vietnam's country is kind of skinny and super long, but the country didn't always look like what it is today. To summarize, long ago there was the Bac Viet, or the 100 ancient Viet tribes. And although they were spread out as far as to what is now southern China, the heart and core of their ancestral lands lies in what is now North Vietnam. And for much of Vietnamese history, most Vietnamese dynasties and rulers had some kind of capital centered around this area. That is, when they weren't under Chinese rulership. In fact, over the course of about 1,000 years, there were 4 eras of Chinese rulership that Vietnam lands fell under. But to summarize, this is why you'll notice a heavy Sinicized or Chinese-influenced culture in Vietnam. See, in Asia, you have 2 powerhouses, and it kind of goes like this.
This is my realm of influence.
This is my realm of influence.
Meanwhile,
I'm just gonna sneak in here and sprinkle a little Islam.
Oh, while you're at that, we're just gonna sprinkle in some Catholicism.
and that's how it's done. In Vietnam, everywhere you go, even though you know it's not China, you still kind of feel like you're seeing things that look kind of Chinese-ish.
I mean, you see the characters, you see, the buildings looks very similar. The religion is very similar in some ways, but especially the buildings and the characters, as you see also in this picture, are often very Chinese looking.
Everything from the temples, pagodas, even the folk religious shrines, all kind of follow that traditional East Asian aesthetic, like buildings with hipped tiled roofs and sharp elongated ridges. But the thing is, for the longest time, this only applied to the northern part of Vietnam. See, the southern part was actually under various Indo-sphere kingdoms, most notably the Kingdom of Champa. What was Champa? It was a Hindu-based kingdom of Austronesian peoples that were more closely related to the Malays rather than the Viets. They ruled the southern part of the area until the Vietnamese initiated the Nam Tien, or the March South, which was a series of conquests that the Vietnamese embarked on to acquire southern lands.
Yeah, don't remind me.
And at its greatest territorial extent, Vietnam once occupied lots of lands in what are now Laos and Cambodia under Emperor Minh Mang.
Did you not just hear what I said?
History is objective, dude. Gotta report it. Anywho, today Vietnam looks like this, and within Vietnam there are so many cool sights and places to see. To explain more on that, let's have one of our Vietnamese geography peeps explain, shall we?
Hello, Hui Bao is here to introduce you to the top places in Vietnam that people visit, just as Barb introduced
maybe he will mention this. The Dalat is I think love packet. And many couples go there, and I heard also stories that there is some rumors that couples who go there will separate later or break up. Maybe I will have a link to this packet in the description. I'm not sure if I can find it, but maybe I will. Yeah, it was very beautiful there. I can assure you this.
To us in the regions of Vietnam episode, the countries have different parts. Now, the northern region is widely considered as the heartland of Vietnamese culture, with the most famous places being the Temple of Literature and National School, the Thăng Long Citadel Complex, Trung Quốc Pagoda. There is also the Hanoi Old Quarter. Moving away from the capital, you can expect to find natural sceneries such as the Ha Long Bay, Cat Ba Islands. There is also the Eye of the God Mountain and town of Sapa, which is one of the only places in Vietnam where it snows. Moving downward from the north, lots of beaches. Definitely recommend the beaches of Da Nang or Nha Trang. Here we can also find the city of Hue, a very romantic city, which is also the
Hue. I've seen this city on the map, but I have never seen it. Of course, I never was there. But Valley of Love, the perfect destination for couples travel in Vietnam. I found this site. I think maybe I will have a link to the thing itself. Maybe I'll find something for you. But either way, it was amazing. It was very beautiful, and maybe he will also mention it in this video.
the old imperial capital. Just some distance from Hue is the Hoi An Old Quarter. The culinary culture here is exquisite. Moving to the Highland region, there is the famous city.
Of course, he will mention this. The thing is, it's a very famous destination, and this is a city. This is amusement park. Amusement park. I say the Love Gardens, whatever. I'm not sure what is the official name, but I remember the lake. I'm not sure if I remember this bridge, but I was there. So if you are a couple, if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, then and you are in Vietnam, then you should visit this garden. It is very beautiful, and of course the rumors are just stupid rumors that you would break up after it. That's because it happened in my case. It doesn't mean that it happened in your case. And maybe I will even visit it again if I have ever the chance. Because it was beautiful, and I don't believe in any things like this. That if you visit this and then, or if you see a black cat, or if you break a mirror, so I'm not believing in such things. So please visit it if you have the chance. It's amazing.
Of love, the city of Đà Lạt. Moving south from here, the city of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. Ho Chi Minh City is certainly famous for the Bến Thành Market or the Independence Palace. You should also pay a visit to the Cổ Chi Tunnel. You can also check out the local museums such as the Museum of War Remnants. Moving south again, now the Minh Tây, the west. You can check out ecotourism centers because they grow a lot of fruit, a lot of rice. They need to trade it in the floating market. That being said, have a good one. Vietnam certainly hope to receive you someday. Back to Bart, right here, somewhere.
Thank you! Man, I really regret not seeing the north side of Vietnam. Ooh, those crazy looking mountains and caves and waterfalls. Man, I'm probably gonna have to go back at some point. Let's dive more into the natural side of Vietnam now, shall we? So here's the deal. In Vietnam, you're constantly going to see this kind of like theme of water everywhere. Whether it's the expectation of floods, the seafaring coast, the ponchos on motorbikes, or there's like a very watery feel to Vietnam. And like the water, let's dive into the sea of information now, shall we?
First of all, about half of the country is hilly or mountainous, mostly concentrated in the north regions by the border with China. Here you can also find the tallest peak of the country, Phan Xipang. From these mountains are sourced many of the main rivers
rivers that feed the country, such as the Black and Red Rivers, the longest and most important rivers of the north part of the country that feed into the Red River Delta. Heading south, you'll notice the spine of Vietnam.
This was one of those moments where I said something was the mountain. You probably didn't hear it because I was muted. But yeah, it's probably a taller mountain than anything we have in Germany. I think Mont Blanc between France and Italy is 4,000 meters, so it's a little bit taller. But in Germany, I think there's nothing as tall as this mountain in Vietnam. I hope I was not muted too much. I will now keep myself unmuted and eat later. It's just annoying if I then say something and remember too late that I'm muted.
Is flanked by the Annamite Mountains and the flatter coastal valleys to the right. As you head further south, you'll notice there's one last major isolated hilly area known as the Lam Bien Plateau. This area is unique in that due to its elevation, it has its own isolated microclimate set apart from the rest of the area, as temperatures are typically slightly cooler here. To the west of the plateau lies the Central Highlands. Here, a ton of coffee is grown. In fact, one of the most popular coffee chains in Vietnam is called Highlands Coffee. You can also find the largest inland bodies of water here, the Giao Tieng, or as they pronounce it in the south, Yao Tieng, and Chi An reservoirs. And finally, to the south, the land gets significantly flatter and turns into the Mekong Delta, which is the end of the mightiest and longest river in Southeast Asia, and one of the most lush areas of the country with swampy sediments that are super fertile and ideal for fruit cultivation. Oh my goodness, Vietnam knows how to do fruit well. God, there's mangosteen, there's jackfruit, there's even a fruit called breast milk fruit, and if you squeeze it, like milk comes out. Oh, that sounds... But one thing they do even better than fruit is coffee. Oh my goodness, when I went there, I could not believe how good it was. And with that, Mini Barbs and I are going to have a little coffee break, and Noah is going to fill in for the rest of this segment. Take it away, Noah.
Noah, what have you been up to these days?
Not a lot. So what's going on, my jogger peeps? Let's do this one more time. Vietnam is classified as a developing and mixed market economy with socialist-oriented principles. Prior to the 80s, Vietnam was under a heavily state-centralized command economy that was heavily dependent on outside aid.
I have heard that Vietnam has developed more into a capitalist country. I'm curious in what ways, and yeah, let's see.
So what changed? Well, it kind of went like this.
Can we?
No.
Can we?
No.
Can we?
No.
Well, he passed away. Let's do it.
Basically, it wasn't until the death of Lee Duan in 1986 that the Doi Moi reforms implemented, which allowed the country to loosen up and open up the private sector more. In any case, for one, only about 35% of the country's population is considered urban, which is surprisingly low for most Asian, let alone the world's standard. This means the population of Vietnam is more dispersed throughout the rural areas of land, which helps increase potential cultivation. Another factor, the commercial sector can sometimes fall in a sort of gray zone. For example, many people might open up household eateries or restaurants in their own homes, a practice that sort of blends residential and commercial zoning laws. But almost everybody does it, and it's the lifeblood of Vietnamese food culture. And finally, the Vietnamese kind of just have their own way of doing things that is open to anything that works practically. For example, the ruling Communist Party has shown that they are very open to a free market system by doing things like signing a bilateral trade deal with the USA in July 2000. They approved a 10-year economic plan that enhanced the role of the private sector in 2001. Overall, they've maintained an average excess of 7% annual.
I mean, I have heard it, and also from experience with my girlfriend, that I mean, minimum salary is a thing. It exists in Vietnam, but I think many people are afraid to demand it or ask for it or fight for it, or because they are afraid to be fired and then someone else replaces them. So the minimum rate exists, but it doesn't really fulfill any purpose, as far as my personal experience with my girlfriend and ex-girlfriend now. But the problem remains that people are too scared to demand their rights, which are written down in some laws, but they are afraid to get fired because the law is there, but it is not enforced. And also the healthcare, I'm not sure if it is free. I don't think so, because definitive when people are either also from personal experience in hospital, the family has to take care of food and other things which are important for the patient, because the hospitals don't do it, or don't do it always, or at least in my personal experience, they haven't done it. So there are many problems, and of course the country is not rich, but there are very rich people in Vietnam also, and very, very, very poor. So they don't do a very good job as a socialist country, at least in its constitution, or how they call themselves, to get the people live a life in dignity. So from my personal experiences, this doesn't work as good. Maybe things have changed a little bit. I'm not sure. My relationship is over since a year, so I don't know exactly how the situation is right now. But yeah, let's continue.
Growth rate. Many sectors like manufacturing have been able to boost this number up, like in electronics and automotive. In fact, in 2018, GM sold its Vietnamese operations to VinFast, Vietnam's first domestic passenger car brand. In fact, a lot of brands in Vietnam have the word Viet or something with Vin in it to reference Vietnam. Vietcom Bank, Vietnamilk, Vinatex, Viatel, Vinsmart, and so on. Today they are the largest producer of cashew nuts, number 5 in rice production, number 3 in rubber, and yes, as mentioned, they are number 2 in coffee, which is surprising because Brazil is number 1 and they are about 25 times larger than them. And they have a unique specialty weasel coffee, where they feed the weasels the coffee fruit, the beans ferment in their stomachs, and after it passes through their digestive system, the beans are recollected, cleaned, processed, and reserved.
It's called weasel poop coffee, Noah. This is the best coffee I've ever had in my life. Oh!
Right on. Well, speaking of weasels, that's only one of the types of animals you can find here in Vietnam. And to talk more about the animals, here's Caleb.
Hey guys, I have this stuffed animal. It's not an animal, it's Liechtenstein with 2 eyeballs.
And it's not the episode we're doing today.
No, it's not. Paul gave me this and said, do an intro, and I'm doing it right now.
We've run out of ideas.
We're at the end of the rope here. So much of Vietnam lies in a lush tropical
A kuschel Liechtenstein. A cuddle Liechtenstein. Or a stuffed Liechtenstein, yeah.
biosphere region that contains some of the most ancient ecosystems in Asia. And even up to today, many species are still being discovered, like the muntjac deer in 1990 and the Ninh Thuan blind skink, which is a legless lizard that looks like an earthworm. I mean, if a lizard doesn't have legs, wouldn't that just make it a snake? I don't know, just read the teleprompter, Caleb. Ugh. And in 2023, 16 new species of parasitoid wasps were discovered as well. They lay their eggs in other insects, which hatch and kill them. In any case, the country has 30...
Let's just continue.
34 national parks, the largest being the Phong Nha Bang National Park, which is also a UNESCO heritage site, and has what is considered the world's largest cave. This image right here. Vietnam's warm, humid climate is perfect for various primate species. Sometimes you can witness them hanging out at temples and attacking Barbs as he tries to feed them.
I called the big guy King Me Kong.
But the one animal that lies in the hearts of the Vietnamese would have to be the fortuitous, powerful water.
But water buffalo, yeah, I heard this before. It's I forgot the Vietnamese name, but
water buffalo. As strong, hardworking creatures, they have become an iconic national symbol of the country, which you can see all over, especially in the countryside. One little extra bonus fact, in Vietnam you might notice the symbol of the lac bird a lot. Nobody knows exactly what the origin is, or if it was even based off of a real bird, just kind of showed up on an ancient pottery and temple motifs, and since then it has become a legendary symbol of the nation. In any case, this has been a bunch of fun, and it's time for me to get out of here. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, Caleb. Speaking of Vietnamese cuisine as well.
I think it's the first time that ever someone else than Paul himself makes such a punchline.
Known throughout the world, and chances are you may have already tried some. And to talk more on the cuisine of Vietnam, here's Ryan.
We have like all kind of noodles, all kind of rice, all kind of meat, all kind of raws. Okay, so the north of Vietnam is most famous for its phở bún mọc. Well, for central region, I would say there are a lot of good things like cơm hến, bún bò Huế. Wow, my favorite food from the south should be
I'm talking right now with not right now, but in the moment, in the last days, I started talking to or writing with a Vietnamese woman from the north, somewhere near Hanoi. I'm not sure exactly from where, but somewhere from this region. I'm curious if she will have a much, if I speak to her at some point, a much different accent or dialect. I'm always confused than my ex-girlfriend from the south.
we have spring rolls and we also have cơm tấm. Hủ tiếu Nam Vang, yes, is hủ tiếu is really good. Usually for the big coffee chains, they have used a mix between Robusta and Arabica. Vietnamese coffee usually Robusta. Okay, so we have like black coffee, we have milk coffee, the condensed milk coffee. We have sauce coffee, we have coconut coffee, we have egg coffee. So many. It's easily hundreds of them, and we even have.
And something else I noticed, Vietnam has a lot of milk. Like and they sweeten everything. They have sweetened the yogurt, they sweeten the milk, they sweeten many things you wouldn't expect. I was trying to find some yogurt which is not sweetened, as well as milk which isn't sweetened, because I don't like sweetened stuff. I mean, I like cookies, I like cake, but something where I don't expect sugar, like milk and yogurt. I don't like sugar being inside of.
Coffee contest every year, every now and then. The Highland Central Vietnam has the best coffee and also the biggest coffee producer in the country.
Thank you, Ryan. So there you go. So much that this country has to offer. And with that, I will catch you on the next one.
Thank you, Noah. Side note, Vietnamese food, oh my goodness, don't even get me started. Dude, Vietnam is a powerhouse of flavors and spices and colors. Not too different from how the people are. With that, let's move on to the next segment.
I mean, he will not talk about the people, but I always thought that Vietnam has more like a mild taste of it's always very mildly favored the food in contrast to countries like Thailand or Indonesia, but maybe I'm wrong. I have not tried out so much, but I just heard this in videos and so. And from my ex-girlfriend, she also said that Vietnam has not such a, so much spices in their food. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe she had she is knows probably much more, knows obviously much more about this. But yeah, anyway.
So what is a Vietnamese person? Glad you asked, Mini Barbs. Here are some answers my Vietnamese subscribers gave.
We're very independent.
Independent country. I can trade us that we are not Chinese, okay?
Everyone is trying to walk a balance between respecting tradition and trying to strive for progress.
Vietnamese people have a certain discreet charm.
For me, Vietnamese person is very friendly, flexible. They easy to adapt any different environments. As you know that the history of Vietnamese, the past a lot of war, but the Vietnamese still develop until now.
We have a strong literature tradition, and the literature of the Vietnamese literature tradition is very free. Hundreds of years ago, people were discussing issues that we still hold taboo today.
There's a lot of emphasis on like the traditional family connection. There's a lot of emphasis.
Oh yes, I also noticed this being together with the Vietnamese for a few years. That the family is a very important part of the life. That people, the family is has also much influence on the children, at least sometimes. Maybe in more modern families it's not as strong as in some others, but from my experience, the parents have a very strong influence on the children, and the children try make their lives so that their parents are happy, that they can look to the parents into the eyes and see that they are happy with them and they have the blessings. So that's my personal experience. Yeah, maybe something. I guess it's often different, but that's my personal experience.
On keeping the Vietnamese language alive and pure, but there's also a lot of celebration when someone is able to speak many languages, someone understand.
I guess we're still a land of mystery, so I guess that's what Vietnam is to me.
So we have the mountain area on the north, and move to the south we have a delta. The landscape is different from the north to the south, so the people also follow this shape. So S shapes for me is very flexible and charming.
Well, I would say the one who loves coffee the most.
Yes. Thank you. But in the meantime, here's the demographics graph. Let's jump into it.
I guess they have by now over 100 million, but maybe it also takes a few more years or months. I think they were always at 99 million at some point, but yeah, let's see. I think 99 million or 100.
First of all, the country has a population just around 100 million and is currently the 15th most populous country on earth. In terms of ethnic groups, the country is predominantly inhabited by ethnic Vietnamese people known as Kinh Vietnamese at somewhere around 85%. The remaining 15% are mostly made up of the various 54 recognized minority ethnic groups found within the country. Some of the largest groups include peoples like the Hmong, Dao, Thai, and Nung peoples. In addition, there is a significant amount of Người Hoa, or Vietnamese people of full or partial Chinese descent, that live in the country as well. So for money, they use the Vietnamese dong, and every single banknote has a picture of Ho Chi Minh on it. They also drive on the right side of the road, and they use this very interesting fusion Type-C and A plug outlet. It was very convenient when I visited. No adapters needed. Now, language-wise, shocker, Vietnam's official language is Viet.
Tiếng Việt. Yeah. Yeah. Or Bing Vie, I am not sure how to pronounce it exactly.
Vietnamese, which is classified as an Austronesian language of the Mon Khmer branch, meaning it is a very, very, very distant cousin of Khmer, or the Cambodian language. But today, both languages are completely unintelligible and have very little in common. In fact, due to the Chinese rule era, it is speculated that somewhere around 30 to 60% of the Vietnamese language today is Chinese derived. On top of that, there are three main dialects, North, South, and Central, in which they say the Central is the hardest to understand. And on that note, here's the thing. Vietnamese is the only Southeast Asian country that didn't have any original indigenous writing system. Now, this is because while all the other countries like Myanmar, Thailand, even as far as Indonesia and the Philippines, they were all freely able to develop their own scripts between the 6th and 16th centuries AD. Meanwhile, Vietnam was under a 1,000-year rule period under the Chinese. And so from its very literary beginning, the Chinese script known as Chu Hoan was adopted before anything authentically Vietnamese could be developed. Over time, the Vietnamese people did a sort of similar thing that people in the Middle East did with the Arabic script, and they changed and modified it to fit their language better. So for example, to an English speaker, it would be like,
this word is dog in English, but in our language, the word is hund. So we took your letters and we did this.
I mean, that writing system isn't even native English, it's Latin based, but you get the point. So what do they use today? They use the Chu Kok Nu. It is a modified Latin script started by Portuguese missionaries, later remodified by the French in order...
There you see it, the D, do. The A, the one, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh letter in the picture you see. The do. This D is pronounced like a D. The D before is pronounced like a Z. So, do. And I don't know all of the pronunciations. I know that GH is also pronounced like Z. I think the best way is really to have someone from Vietnam to help you with the pronunciation, because I think the pronunciation is the most difficult about this. But yeah, there's this wonderful shorts from this Vietnamese German couple. She's making the videos. She's Vietnamese. And maybe I have a link to one of their shorts in the description. Take a look at them. It's amazing. They make fun videos. or she's making fun videos, and he never appears, when his face never appears, but he sometimes speaks in the videos and so. So let's continue here. Vietnamese language, I learned a little bit about this, and yeah, it's difficult. And you hear me, that's good.
In order to phonetically spell out Vietnamese words with diacritic marks to indicate the tones. This system made things a lot easier and faster to learn, so they just kind of stuck with it. And speaking of which, the Vietnamese language has 6 tones, meaning one syllable can have up to 6 different meanings depending on the intonation you say it in. Anyway, religion. Okay, now this is a very interesting one. So Vietnam is a very, how can I put it? Religion. Okay, with it. And speaking of which, the Vietnamese language has 6.
Okay, so the first one is just the neutral sounds and falling sound, rising sound. This weird like qua, like the word qua, I think means from, like con mèo qua thôi, con mèo qua thôi. This qua. This C U and then this qua. Yeah, it's question. Is it for questions? If acute tilde dot below. Maybe it's for questions, but it on the above this U is this thing where the sign where a question, you see it on the screen, and it's pronounced like qua. Con mèo qua thôi. Please, Vietnamese people, don't judge my terrible pronunciation too much. I tried my best. And this sound, I don't know how to pronounce it. The tilde and the dot below also not so much. Yeah, I mean, I can try to say a few things in Vietnamese, but I'm really not so good. Like this example I gave you, like con mèo quá thôi, con mèo quá thôi. Thôi thôi ốc tiếng Việt, thôi ốc tiếng Việt. Chúng tôi chúng tôi ăn bánh mì, chúng tôi ăn bánh mì. And I mean I know a little bit about the numbers, and I know a little bit about how to create the numbers. Like I think the difference between 12 and 22 is like bar. No, I say 12. I hope I say 12. Moi ba. Moi is 10. Ba is 3. Hi. Moi hi is 12. Moi 10. Hi 2. Moi hi. And if you say hi moi is 20. Hi moi hi is in 22, I think. So if you say the you say it in this way, you like multiply, like 40 I think would be then bon moi, and 60 would be sao moi, like 6 times 10, and then 67 like sao moi by. But please, yeah, don't judge me too much. I know the pronunciation is terrible, but I try my best. Yeah, please don't judge my pronunciation too much. I'll give my best. But let's continue for now. Hi guys, hello and welcome. Again, I had to record a little part of the second video again, as you see in the writing on the center on the bottom. That second reaction, it's a day later, because something went wrong, and I had to do this. So here we are. It's just 10-15 minutes or so. I'm not exactly sure how much of the video, but before I forget it, near the end, when you see the webcam again and the writing on the bottom disappears because it's again the recording from yesterday, you will I will talk about theater and her opera. I have once seen in a program. I have not seen it, but I have seen online that opera is played in Ho Chi Minh City, I think. Yes. Just so I don't forget it. There will be also a second part where second thing I have to do, record again later, but then also you will see on the center bottom second reaction. Let's go. It's yeah, let's continue.
Anyway, religion. Okay, now this is a very interesting one. So Vietnam is a very, how can I put it? They're kind of like Japan, in which they have a high degree of traditional folk beliefs that they still, at the very least, ritually practice. But if you ask people how religiously devout they are, it will vary based off of who you ask. It is speculated that somewhere around half of the country will claim that they follow some form of folk religion, and Vietnam has a lot of them. Everywhere you go in Vietnam, you will see shrine after shrine after shrine.
I think there are a lot of ancestry shrines also in the house where they kind of pray for good fortune to the dead relatives of the family. I think, I'm not exactly sure, but I think this is something I heard and also remember from my ex-girlfriend, but I'm not exactly 100% sure. But I also heard that the state, the government is supporting atheism, so that I think that they want that the population is not too religious. But of course there are minorities who are religious, but I think the majority is not very religious. Maybe some folk beliefs, but not religious in the way that they go to church in a regular way, or I don't know. But maybe I'm also wrong here. Just tell me in the comments what you think.
Many of these are devoted to traditional Vietnamese gods, spirits, ancestors, venerated historical figures or deities, and so on. Otherwise, Buddhism and even Hinduism are kind of sprinkled in there. And then occasionally you'll come across churches and cathedrals, which are unique because they have this like East Asian twist to them, in which they use incense sticks at the statues of Mary instead of prayer candles. Although not everyone may be super religious, overall there seems to be like a very noticeable, strong sense of kind of faith-based ritualism in Vietnam, and they kind of hop around a lot. And of course, nothing exemplifies this sort of syncretic belief system more than Cao Tai, a religion mostly concentrated in the south.
I mean, he mentioned this as well in the Geography Go video, and I have never heard of this, but it looks very interesting, like a very weird mixture between many beliefs. But yeah, I'm not religious at all, so I don't care so much about this, but it's interesting to see. And yeah, I would also still like to visit a Hindu temple or a Buddhist temple, but there's no meaning for me because I'm not religious.
It fuses elements of Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, and yes, even Roman Catholicism. In any case, in these videos, I try really hard to find ways to condense the country's overall story and history, but this is a very complicated one. This is a land where they literally had a rebellion against the Chinese led by a pair of sisters riding elephants. It's a place where they got bombed like—
Oh yeah, the Vietnam War. Many parts of a very, very large part of Vietnam was bombed into oblivion, into Stone Age. Also parts of Cambodia and Laos, and even you see some dots in Thailand. I see even something in Myanmar and southern China. So it was really, really devastating for this region, and specifically for Vietnam, where you see the very, very, very large chunks of Black Sea, and also Laos. You see, Laos was neutral, I think, in this war. As the same for Cambodia, and still they got bombed. Henry Kissinger is a war criminal of the century, one of the worst human beings ever existing on this planet, and he is responsible very much for the bombing of Cambodia and maybe even Laos. I specifically heard from Cambodia where he is responsible, and when I'm not mistaken, he said something like bomb everything that moves and it's absolutely devastating. And he's dead now, but the US should pay for this.
Really bad by my country, the USA. And this is a whole other topic that would take forever to explain. I'm sure you guys will in the comments. Please go at it. I'm glad our countries have kind of moved forward and since then can kind of now work together more. Overall, Vietnam has always been kind of like a hotbed of conflict. They fought the Chinese, the Cambodians, the French, the Americans, the Japanese, even themselves. Fun side note, the Vietnamese are also really proud because they claim that they're one of only 2 countries apart from Japan that avoided being colonized by the Mongols.
Technically, we should be the only country because we actually fought them, while the Japanese just got lucky with those typhoons that helped sink the Mongol ships.
Yeah, a lot of my Vietnamese subscribers told me to put that in the script. In any case...
It's funny, but I give it to them. They are the only one in Asia, in East Asia, which avoided being colonized by the Mongols. Congratulations, you're the best.
In the most contemporary era, everything kind of boiled down to Ho Chi Minh. This guy is the icon of the country. Faces everywhere. His quotes are in the streets and in cafes. But what it comes down to is, even after the war, he really worked hard to unify Vietnam. There's even a word that Viets use to refer to their fellow Viets, especially those that are not of ethnic Kin Vietnamese ethnicity, Tong Pao, which means of the same fetus. And another thing that unifies Vietnamese people, sports! And with that, Art could not make it because he had a busy schedule. So I'm gonna fill in for him. Sports part with Art not being here. Just me. Sorry, Art. So Vietnam has quite a history of athletics and recreational activities. For one, let's bring it back to the traditional stuff. There are lots of fun regional activities. Lots of them are centered around using bamboo. Ti Cao Q, found in the Mekong Delta area. You have to balance on a suspended bamboo stick over a river. Don't fall in. You have stilt racing. You have the very tall bamboo swings. And probably no activity more iconic to Vietnam culturally, forgive me for butchering this, Dua Tu Yen, or boat racing, which has elaborately decorated sea vessels that the team must row across the finish line. Very Vietnamese. I told you, these are water people. So Vietnam has a ton of traditional martial arts styles, typically divided into 2 separate forms, the North Sino-Vietnamese inspired kinds and the South Cham Kingdom indigenous styles. Some of the most popular styles include things like Vo Vi Nam and Binh Tin, which means pacify. Nonetheless, the most commonly practiced martial art is actually Taekwondo. Thanks to their old ties to Korea and a large amount of Korean migrants that come to Vietnam, the martial art has gained massive popularity. And speaking of which, to this day, Vietnam has participated in every Summer Olympics since 1952, only missing Montreal and Los Angeles. And they've racked up 5 medals as of 2021, the Tokyo Olympics, including their first ever gold medal in 2016 in Brazil in shooting. Otherwise, what is one sport you will see everywhere, in every park, in every school? Badminton. It is disputably one of, if not probably, the most popular sport in Vietnam. They even host the
I have also played badminton before, but never in a team. I mean, probably in a team, but not in school and so. But never in a competition or something like this.
Vietnam Open, one of the most prestigious badminton events in all of Asia. I swear, you go to Vietnam, you see badminton everywhere. I guess they love it, and they're pretty good at it. So there you go, that's the sports segment. And you guys know how this goes. Every time after Art finishes sports segment, you know, I give a little intro into Hannah's culture segment. So I don't have to transition to myself because I am myself. I guess that means we're gonna go and move on to culture with Random Hannah.
What's up, guys? It's Random Hannah, your favorite co-host on Geography Now, other than Paul. Or maybe you like me more than Paul, who knows?
Maybe more than me, yeah.
Comment down below, let us know.
At this point, I mean, you're the token female, so.
So as we mentioned, Vietnam does have 54 recognized ethnic minorities, most with their own language. So let's start off by highlighting some of the largest groups. The largest minority group, at around 2% of the population, are the Thai people. Not to be confused with Thai, they are mostly found in the northeast. They have their own flag. Most follow a folk religion called Ten, and they have a unique dish that uses black ant eggs. Second largest at 1.5% are the Muong peoples, closest cousins of the Vietnamese. Occasionally you might see them using this flag, and they are famous for their epics and literature like this one, which translates to little by little. Next you have the Hmong peoples at about 1.5%, divided into clans and 3 cultural divisions, the white, green, and blue Hmong, famous for their colorful traditional clothing with pink horizontal lines and fine silver jewelry. They are also known for pepper dip and Hmong-style sausage. Finally, the fourth largest group, at about 1.1%, the Nhung people. They often might use this autonomous region flag. They are cousins to the Thai people. They are masters of terraced farming, famous for their indigo clothing, basket weaving, and crafts. Now, there are a lot of traditional clothing styles that vary by region, but the most common one
It's an ao dai. I know about this. It's a traditional dress. I think also wear by both genders, male and female. But I know it of course only as my ex-girlfriend. I have a few pictures I think from her wearing this. So the ao dai looks very beautiful. I have seen also other pictures, and yeah, looks very nice.
Will probably encounter, usually worn at special events, is known as the ao wai or ao zai. It usually comes with a headpiece known as a hanvan. Otherwise, they also use these, the traditional conical hat. You can also wear these with the ao yai. Now, in Vietnam, you'll notice a lot of people have the last name Nguyen. My gynecologist's last name is Nguyen, actually, who delivered my child. The most common theory behind this is that simply Nguyen was the name of the last dynasty in Vietnam before the French took over. So when the census came around, many of the people registered themselves under Nguyen, since they didn't traditionally adhere to surname titles. Vietnam is definitely an artsy country. Nothing is more iconically Vietnamese, though, than their calligraphy. It's crazy because they took Latin letters, yet stylized them with Eastern Asian broad brushstroke techniques. Isn't it really cool? Vietnam is home to various styles of traditional and contemporary theater, but probably the most famous one that foreigners love seeing is the water puppetry, a tradition that dates back 1,000.
I have never seen this. I want to see it someday. I mean, I saw it in the previous part of the video, in the Geography Go episode where he traveled to Ho Chi Minh City, but I have personally never seen it. Maybe I will have later one chance to do it, to see it.
Years. In many cities, and specifically Saigon, you will notice that many houses are super narrow. This is because under French rule, people were taxed by how wide their buildings or establishments were. However, it never put a limit on the height, which incentivized them to build up rather than out. Vietnam is definitely a patron of the film industry. Probably the most famous film directed by Tran Anh Hung, who made the Vietnam trilogy, three of the best works from the 90s that have won numerous awards and nominations at film festivals like Cannes and yes, even the Academy Awards. And finally, yes, Vietnam is a land of festivals. The Lim Festival.
Oh yeah, it's a Tet. Tet is a New Year of the moon calendar, and it's very well celebrated. Mostly I think near the end of January, the beginning of February, and around this time of the year. And it's a very big festival. People who have Vietnamese family or relatives will mostly come home then to Vietnam over this time. It's a state holiday, Tet, and even people get paid for this holiday. So it's a very big official festival, where just absolute basic people have to go to work, like hospitals and other firefighters also probably, but most people have free and celebrate this enormous important family festival. There are 3 important days I think, and there's a tradition that I think, maybe I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, that someone who crosses the doorway on this as the first person crosses the doorway to my family's house, this is some kind brings good luck or is a good sign for a relationship or so, I think. Something like this I remember from my ex-girlfriend also. I think I talked with her about this. Okay, let's continue.
The Mid-Autumn Festival, the Wandering Souls or Ghost Festival, the Cold Food Festival, Independence and Reunification Day, and the largest and most important holiday that everyone partakes in, Lunar New Year or Tet. The decorations are insane. Entire cities transform into colorful wonderlands. And of course, you can't have a festival without some fine tunes playing in the background. To talk more about music, Keith would have done it, but he is actually not here. Where is
So,
Keith?
I contacted Keith and he sent me a picture of a boat. I think he's on a cruise ship. I don't know. Keith has these weird adventures.
So who should fill in? Probably my darling, handsome husband.
I will do it. I guess Ian's doing it.
I will do it. Okay guys, music. Vietnam, let's go. Vietnam has a long history of music. In fact, it is said that there are over 100 instruments native to Vietnam to this day, and no, I'm not talking about the Chinese introduced instruments. I'm talking about real Vietnamese instruments like gung and the bro and the sao, double reed oboes and clarinets, mouth organs, lithophones, and buffalo horn trumpets, which are so cool. In the Highlands, there's even a UNESCO inscribed gong culture. The people here create gongs that they believe are sacred and hold spirits that can connect them to the supernatural. Otherwise, in the north you have cheo, which is a satire musical theater style that was invented by rural peasants, and the hat sam, or the blind person's singing. In the south, they have Gai Luong, which is basically very intricate Vietnamese style opera. But if you really want to understand music in Vietnam, every Vietnamese person will say you have to know about two colors, red and yellow. Red music represents North Vietnam, and it is revolutionary music. Let's just say, have you ever heard those intense military orchestra sound to it? Yeah, that's the kind of style. Then you have yellow music, which is the music of the South, featuring themes that focus more on suffering and romance. Since economic reforms, Vietnam has opened up to more Western tones, and now everything from
classic stuff. I mean, I saw some in the theatre, people who performances. I have not seen it myself, but I see a program of a theatre once. I think it was in Ho Chi Minh City or so. I'm not sure exactly, but that's interesting.
House, V-rock, and yes, even Vietnamese metal are super popular genres today. Stop what you're doing, look it up, it's nuts. Overall, they know how to rock it. Cheers to Vietnam. Woo.
Thank you, Ian. And Keith, I don't know if you got off that boat yet, but if you have, let's follow up because I miss you, man. So there you go. That was a lot. And there are so many things we missed, but this video is getting...
Now they will talk about diplomatic relations, and I guess let me predict. They will have a little bit like hate-love relationship with China, because many of the culture is has some influence from China. There's lots of connections, of course, probably also lots of trade being done between China and Vietnam for obvious reasons. They just lay next to each other. But there's also dispute over this Pearl Island and maybe other things. I think there's not hatred, but many people in Vietnam don't really like China. From my personal experience, I can say this, but I think there's also many cross-border relationships and good relations between these countries, but is I think also Cambodia. There are of course probably also cross-border relationships like with Laos. It makes sense because it's just next to each other. Even I think Laos and Cambodia maybe have less cross-border relations in comparison to China, because the population centers are not so much at the border with Cambodia, and especially Laos, because I think there's jungle and not so dense area, not so populated areas. Most people live, I think, across the coast, and it's a big two population centers, Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, which I think in total 15 or 20 million people live in these populated areas of these two mega cities. Not just in the city per limited area of the city itself, but also the metropolitan area around the city. I think 20 million probably. So roughly a fifth of the population lives in either Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. But I guess I'm not exactly sure how much, but I think Ho Chi Minh City is 13 million and Hanoi is 7 million, and then and I'm not sure if this is already the metropolitan area or if it's just a city limited. But anyway, I'm curious. I think they have also good relations to other ASEAN countries, like the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. with Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, the Philippines, Brunei, and I don't think Timor-Leste or East Timor, but yeah, let's continue. I'm curious, let's find out. Probably also somewhat good relations to the United States, but yeah, I'm curious.
Super long, we gotta move on to the next segment, so let's do it, the friend zone. Okay, so quick little side note, if you want to understand how Vietnam interacts on a global scale, you have to kind of understand the four...
Okay, let's see. No military alliance, no siding with one country against another, no foreign military bases, that's good. No using Vietnamese territory to oppose other countries using force or threatening to use force. That's good. That's very good. I like all of these points very much. If they continuously keep this alive and don't change their policy, don't allow the United States or other countries to place military bases, if they keep up those 4 points, it will be always a very good country, in my opinion, in this regard. In other regards, maybe not. For example, the death penalty, which I am absolutely against, both in all in the world, everywhere. And it's a practice in Vietnam, in China, in Thailand, in Japan, in India, in Indonesia, in the US, of course, and in many other countries as well, but in the Asian countries, and of course US is not Asian, but I had to mention it as well. I'm not sure in what other countries it's alive. In the Philippines it's not. There are other problems in the Philippines, of course, but the death penalty is not. I think it's even constitutionally prohibited, which is good. Every country in the world should do this, and I look forward to the day when the last country bans the death penalty.
Knows in their defense policy. This means that Vietnam tries their best to maintain a strict commerce and cultural approach to their diplomacy, as opposed to a getting involved in international affairs policy. If you ask actual Vietnamese people, it really depends on who you encounter. See, each side, the north and south parts of Vietnam, kind of have their Western favorites based off of where their families and diaspora moved during conflict times. The north side of Vietnam was more allied with communist and socialist bloc countries, so many of their family members moved to places like Czechia when it was under the Czechoslovak Republic before the Velvet Revolution, or even Cuba back in the 70s and 80s. Fidel Castro even visited 3 times, and Cuban Minister Roberto Morales was even quoted for saying Cuba is ready to give its own blood for Vietnam. When you talk to the South Vietnamese people though, they might say countries like France and the USA, where a lot of their relatives moved during conflict times. In fact, the USA has the largest Vietnamese diaspora community in the world at over 2.1 million, and France holds about 400k. The Americans and French also make up large numbers of tourists that visit every year, and many English and French services are offered in Vietnam to accommodate. Some Vietnamese people might say that Japan and both North and South Korea are friends as well, as they not only make up a huge portion of the immigrant community that...
I have to mention this here, my ex-girlfriend told me about this. So it's a Vietnamese North Korean couple, where I think Vietnamese president or Vietnamese prime minister or somewhat political person made it possible so that after she is retired, I think she was from Vietnam, after she retired or didn't work any longer, they could marry. They could there was a marriage, and she was even allowed to live in North Korea, to live with her husband in Vietnam. I think she was from North Korea and he was from Vietnam, but there is an article, maybe I even find it somewhere, then I link it in the description. Otherwise, I try to find the article if I have not a link already somewhere in... I think I copied the link somewhere, but otherwise maybe you can also look for it. Vietnamese North Korean couple, and moment. I just had to Google Vietnamese North Korean couple, and here is the article in the NPR. I will put the link in the description. He is Vietnamese, she is from North Korea. They had to wait 3 decades to marry. I just read maybe the first paragraph. A couple in Hanoi is watching the summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un this week with particular interest. The husband from Vietnam and the wife from North Korea had to overcome enormous obstacles to be together. Their love was forbidden for decades but by authorities on both sides, but eventually they triumphed. Yes, I have a link in the description, definitely. It's amazing.
Lives in Vietnam, but historically they've been intertwined for centuries. Like when Vietnamese Prince Lý Long Tông was exiled to Korea in the 13th century and eventually became a general in the Korean army. And today many Koreans are actually descended from him. Then we get to China. With these two, again, it's complicated. Politically and culturally, yes, they do align on many similar values, but the Vietnamese are very intent on making sure that the world sees them as Vietnam. These two go way back to the 1st century BC. They had the Chung Sister Rebellion, Mai Rebellion, to the more contemporary Sino-Vietnamese conflicts, the Spratly Islands dispute. Yet China supported them in the Vietnam War, while Taiwan supported the South. That's a whole other story. And since the 90s, they've been doing very well in terms of developing trade and development agreements. Their heads of state have visited and talked numerous times. But again, it's complicated. It's like no matter what the situation with China is, they have to keep reminding themselves to be Vietnamese above anything else. Now, Vietnam might not exactly say they have a best friend. However, if we're talking about like PTSD support group buddies, then maybe Cambodia? Like, yes, they've had conflicts, and yes, Cambodia kind of claims that Vietnam stole their land centuries ago, but technically they are incredibly distant cousins that have a very...
I mean, they have also a similar fate, as I also talked about in the Vietnam War. They all got devastatingly bombed by the US, Laos, Cambodia, and I think mostly Vietnam. But yeah, they have also the differences, and but maybe culturally and on the personal level they understand each other. But yeah, let's watch the final minute of this video and I will talk a little bit more.
Close shared history. Each country's largest diaspora lives in the other country's land, and somehow, someway, despite any tensions, they keep finding themselves back at the bar playing a game of cards and doing shots. In conclusion, look, Vietnam, all I can say is, before making this video, I only had a surface understanding of your country and the basic academic facts. But when I actually visited your country, it was like, whew, it's a whole universe of complicated beauty. And if you know me, I love complicated, beautiful places. So cheers, Vietnam. And with that, stay tuned. Yemen is coming up next. Hey,
this will also be an interesting video, Yemen. I mean, especially with the recent history, like the US bombing Yemen for intervening in the genocide, which is taking place in Gaza, which takes me back to the beginning of the video, just for a short moment. But yeah, I'm curious about Yemen as well. I will. Okay, let's watch the final things first.
Guys, so how would you like to come with me to Zimbabwe for the last episode? The company Tova Trip has decided they want to possibly collaborate with me if enough people are interested for a group trip to Zimbabwe. We're just trying to find out the logistics right now and see if anybody's even interested. And if you think you might be interested, take the survey in the link below and we're gonna try to organize and see if things can happen. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you in Zimbabwe. Cheers.
Hi, hello and welcome again to the second reaction I have to do on the second day, because some audio and some video material didn't work, and it just didn't work. So I have to do it again this time, and also this one segment in the middle. But now here we are back again. I talk now a little bit about how I liked the video in general. The video was very good. I enjoyed it very much. I learned a lot. I also hope that you got some inspiration from what I had to say. Maybe you can answer some of my questions. If yes, please do so in the comments. I look forward to it. I definitely want to visit Vietnam again. Definitely North Vietnam. I want to cross this one friendship bridge between China and Vietnam, somewhere in the north. I saw it on Google Maps, and it looks fancy, it looks beautiful from what I have seen, and I want to see it in person. I hope I will have the chance one day. In a moment you will see the third video reaction from me. I hope I can edit everything tonight so it can be published on the 6th of April. after midnight, somewhere after midnight, late after midnight, not at midnight, but maybe 4 o'clock in the morning on the 6th of April. If you will see this, if you watch through the entire video, please consider liking the video and subscribing, and also maybe ring the bell or watch some other videos from me. I'm currently playing Trails into Reverie, a beautiful game I really enjoy. But yeah, take a look if you want. I think maybe I have to say something more at the end of everything, but I have edited everything and cut another create another small outro. But for now, I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and we see us again right now. When I react to the regions of Vietnam 1 to 3. Hi, hello, welcome to outro. I have decided, because next week, or somewhere in the next days, there will be a new video from Geography Now about Vietnam, the Flag Friday video about Vietnam, about geography, where he also talks about the flag, explains the flags, and reads some fan mails and so on. So, my idea is now, I will react to the regions of Vietnam and Flag Friday about Vietnam in a different video. So the four videos from Geography Now about Vietnam will be split into 2 parts. Part 1, Vietnam Geography Go, and Geography Now Vietnam. My reactions will be split into 2 videos, and then regions of Vietnam explained, and Vietnam Flag Friday in a second video. So I also have more time tonight to put everything together, and the video comes out in the early hours of the 6th of April. In 2, 3, 4 hours or so, it will be public. I hope you like this, and I look forward to also maybe have your attention, or that you watch also the second video from me. If you enjoyed this one, please like and subscribe, and watch maybe some of my playthrough from Trails into Reverie. And yeah, maybe I will make some days some videos together with me, together with my girlfriend, if I have again a girlfriend, rather not from Vietnam or somewhere else from the world. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but I want to travel to Vietnam and see some more things, and also travel to many more other countries in the world, and visit as much as possible. So please like and subscribe, watch some other videos from me, and we'll see you again in the next video. Thank you for watching, and free Palestine. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! My cute little beer. I like her very much. If you also like her, if you also like Shinta, please subscribe.